I've spent more nights under the stars than under a roof, my life stitched together by campfires, riverbanks, and the kind of quiet you only find where the world forgets to intrude. If it's not snowing, you'll find me pitched by a creek, a river, or a sprawling lake, the water's murmur my only company. Ponds? I steer clear. Mosquitoes are a plague I'd rather avoid. I'm no stranger to the wild. Bears, wolverines, even a mountain lion I once coaxed into backing off. A story I'll save for another time. Point is, I'm an experienced camper, 42, with calluses on my hands and a knack for reading the land. But out there, it's not the animals that'll get you. It's people. Always people. They're the real danger, the ones who'll leave you dead before a grizzly even sniffs your trail. And the last time I camped at my favorite spot, a remote clearing on the southern border of Colorado and Wyoming, I learned that lesson the hard way. It was the last time I went there, and the last time I ever left my gun in my truck. That spot was my sanctuary, a slice of nowhere where the world stopped screaming. Tucked off a rutted vehicle trail, it was perfect for fishing, thinking, or just existing, surrounded by pines, the air sharp with sap, the ground soft with years of fallen needles. I'd been there a dozen times, maybe more, and never saw a soul. No hikers, no rangers, just me and the sky. I've got a house, a proper one, in a small town an hour away, with a mortgage and a mailbox. I'm not some drifter. I've got my permits, my fishing licenses, all the paperwork to prove I'm legit. I like people fine. Camp with friends, share beers with buddies, even take a girlfriend out for a weekend under the stars. But solitude? That's my church. I'm not running from anything. I'm running toward the earth, its rhythms, its truths. Or so I thought. That week-long trip was routine, a loop through my best spots, ending close to home for laundry and a reset. The day started like any other. I woke in a campsite 2 hours north, packed my gear, tent, sleeping bag, folding chair, into my beat-up Ford F-150 and hit a truck stop for a shower, coffee, and a greasy breakfast of eggs and bacon. Standard operating procedure when I'm far from home. The coffee was strong, the shower hot, and by 9 a.m. I was on the road, the 20-minute drive to the border spot a familiar pilgrimage. The trail was a winding dirt path, barely wide enough for my truck, cutting through dense pines and scrub. I arrived mid-morning, the clearing just as I'd left it months ago. Flat, sheltered, a stone's throw from a creek that glittered under the June sun. I set up camp, tent pitched tight, sleeping bag unrolled, chair unfolded by a small fire pit. 2 thermoses of truck stop coffee kept me company as I leaned against a tree, sipping, staring into the flames, letting my mind drift. I don't read out here, don't sketch or write poetry. I just sit, the fires crackle my only conversation, the world reduced to heat and light. Music? Sometimes, but it breaks the spell. This is my ritual, my reset. The day passed slow, the sun climbing, then sinking, painting the sky gold and bruise purple. The fire burned low, and I realized I'd been lazy, hadn't gathered firewood, a rookie mistake. I hate lanterns, their glare kills the night's magic. So, grumbling, I stood, brushing pine needles off my jeans, and wandered into the trees, hunting fallen branches. The clearing was sparse, picked clean from my last visit, so I pushed deeper, boots crunching on dry earth, the air cooling as shadows lengthened. 10 minutes in, frustration gnawed. I found nothing but twigs too green to burn. I turned back, ready to try the other side of camp, when something caught my eye. Headlights, distant, piercing the dusk through a gap in the pines. I froze, squinting. Headlights? Out here? This spot was a good mile off any main road, the trail too rough for casual drivers. My first thought was trouble. Someone stuck in mud, maybe, or a breakdown. I'm not one to ignore a stranger in need. It's who I am, wired into me since I was a kid helping neighbors dig out snowed-in cars. I didn't think twice, didn't grab my shotgun from the truck's rack. I just headed toward the lights, weaving through trees, my boots sinking into soft earth. The trail widened, and I realized the vehicle was on the same path I'd driven in. The headlights were blinding, high beams cutting through the twilight, and I kept my eyes down, avoiding the glare. Closer now, I saw it. A Dodge truck, old but not ancient, its body a patchwork of dents and rust. The tailgate was down, 2 shovels tossed in the bed, their blades caked with dirt. No one was inside, no movement nearby. I circled, peering into the cab, empty. A prickle ran up my neck, but I shrugged it off. Probably someone taking a leak or setting up camp nearby. Then I saw another light, fainter, beyond the tree line, deeper into the wild than my own camp. Twin beams, bobbing, headlamps, not headlights. Someone setting up late, I figured, struggling before dark. Again, that instinct to help kicked in. I should have turned back, grabbed my gun, broken camp, and floored it out of there. But no, I called out, my voice loud in the quiet. Hey, saw your truck's lights, thought you might be stuck. Need help with your camp? I waited, expecting a shout back, maybe a startled curse. Nothing. Then, snap, both headlamps went dark, plunging the area into black. My stomach dropped, a cold weight settling in. The shovels, the empty truck, the sudden silence. It clicked too late. I'd left my shotgun behind. I bolted, legs pumping, faster than I'd run since high school track. Trees blurred past, branches snagging my jacket, my breath ragged. I stuck to the trail. Diving into the woods would have slowed me, and I needed my truck. Behind me, shouts erupted, harsh and urgent, not friendly. Metal clanged, more shovels hitting the truck bed. Car doors slammed, an engine roared to life. They were coming for me, and I knew why. I'd seen their truck, called out, interrupted something they didn't want witnessed. If I tripped, slowed, or stopped, I was dead. No guns on them, maybe, but 2 against 1, armed with shovels, or worse, their truck could crush me like a bug. My legs burned, cramps biting, but I pushed through, heart hammering. The flicker through the trees, my campfire. My truck was close. I veered off the trail, crashing through brush to the clearing where I'd parked. The Dodge's headlights swung behind me, closing fast. I reached the passenger door, flung it open, and grabbed my Remington 12 gauge from the rear window rack, the metal cold and heavy. The Dodge rounded the turnoff, engine screaming, and didn't slow. It aimed straight for my truck. No time to think. I've never shot a person, never wanted to. Hunting's not my thing. The gun's for bears, not men. But instinct took over. I raised the shotgun, aimed at the right headlight, and fired. The blast shattered the light, darkness swallowing half the clearing. The truck skidded, tires spitting dirt, stopping 5 feet from my bumper. I racked another round, barrel trained on the windshield, my hands steady despite the blood pounding in my ears. No words, just silence, a standoff. Their engine growled, but they didn't move. 5 minutes, maybe less, stretched like hours. Then they threw it in reverse, tires screeching, and peeled back onto the trail, disappearing into the night. I checked for a license plate, none, front or back. I stood, shotgun still raised, until my arms ached, half expecting them to double back. 10 minutes passed, maybe more. Sure they were gone, I ran to camp, doused the fire, and threw my gear, tent, bag, chair, into the truck bed. I jumped in, keys shaking in my hand, ready to floor it to the nearest town, find a cop, report the whole damn thing. But as I pulled onto the trail, a sound stopped me, not an engine, not a shout, but a cry, high and desperate, like an animal, but wrong. I rolled down the passenger window, listening. Not an animal, a woman, screaming, pleading, somewhere down the trail. I froze, fear spiking. Every instinct screamed to drive, but that cry, it was raw, terrified, human. I couldn't ignore it, not after what I'd just escaped. Stupid, maybe, but it's who I am. I killed the engine, the silence deafening, and her voice came clearer, calling from the road. I leaned out, squinting into the dark. A figure ran toward me, barely visible, wearing a bright pink shirt, no shoes, hair tangled with leaves and dirt. She was sobbing, begging me not to leave. "I'm here," I shouted, turning the truck toward her, headlights catching her, middle-aged, covered in grime, like she'd been lost in the woods for days. I drove closer, saving her the run, and stopped. Her face was pale, eyes wide with terror, rope burns raw on her wrists. I opened the door, not asking questions, just wanting her safe. She climbed in, slamming it shut, and gasped, "I'm Kesha. They took me 4 days ago." Her eyes flicked to the shotgun, fear flaring, but I explained, "The truck, the chase, the shot." She nodded, tears streaming, and her story spilled out. Those men, the ones in the Dodge, had kidnapped her from Aurora, thrown her in a van that broke down, then stolen the truck. They tied her up, tossed her in the bed, but she'd worked free, jumped out when they stopped, and ran. My shout had startled them, stopped their search, giving her time to hide. She'd found the trail just before spotting my headlights, lost, no idea where to go. "You saved my life," she said, voice breaking. I didn't know what to say, just nodded, threw the truck in gear, and backed up to turn around. We hit the trail, speeding toward pavement, Kesha thanking me between sobs, piecing together her ordeal. They'd grabbed her off the street, headed for Omaha, maybe, when the van died. The truck was a fresh theft, the shovels, God knows what for. She'd heard my shot, hesitated, thinking it might be them, but gambled it wasn't. "Someone's watching out for you," I said, half believing it. Then, as we neared the main road, a single headlight flared ahead, an engine revving. The Dodge back charging from a side trail. I swerved, but they clipped my tailgate metal screaming. Kesha screamed too, and I felt it, fear, raw and total, that we'd both die out here. Blood trickled from my head, a cut from the window, but I saw their truck fishtail, struggling. I gunned it, tires scraping theirs, pinning their driver's side. Free, I floored it, not stopping until we hit a small town sheriff's office, 30 miles away. Kesha gave her statement, I gave mine. The cops called us lucky, said that trail was a known route for traffickers, a growing problem. They checked us at a hospital. I was fine, no concussion. Kesha had rope burns, dehydration. They kept her overnight. I stayed, drove her to Aurora the next day. No romance. She's married, happy with her family, but we talk sometimes, bonded by that night. She calls me her hero. I don't feel like one, just a guy who didn't drive away. That spot's off my list now. I camp closer to home, shotgun always within reach. The wild safe, it's people you've got to watch.